Hey Tando, I need to arrange for your medical testing to finalize your life cover. The more we know about you, the more cover you could qualify for.
What will happen to my medical records?
Well, Siswami, Old Mutual keeps them confidential.
Get medically tested and you could qualify for more life cover.
iDiskiTV powered by Wont Sports Betting. It is the time to CEO Dozere Manqoba Mngqithi, no longer coach of Mamelodi Sundowns. Miguel Cardoso is now the new coach at Mamelodi Sundowns. Fleming Berg is still there at Mamelodi Sundowns, as well as Steve Kompela. And who else is there? Kennedy Mwene, and the players are there as well. A big story. Mamelodi Sundowns making changes announced by their chairman, Utlopi Mutsipe, was side by side or side to side with coach Miguel Cardoso and Fleming Berg as well. Lindo Pep, what did you make of the news story, sir? Coach Manqoba Mngqithi and the new coach as well.
Yeah, Nkululeko, how are you, my brother?
I'm good, thank you.
It's
very hot in Johannesburg.
But at least in Vuli is
Yeah, there's been rain.
The legendary Nkululeko. Yeah, it's been building up. There's a reliable source of mine that has been telling me that this has been happening since even before he came case. The loss against Polokwane City was unacceptable. If you read the club statement, it says based on the high standards that we have and our ambitions as a club, we feel that the recent technical team has not met our standards and our ambition. The club has very high standards. The losses against Stellenbosch as well. The coach has been knocked out of the MTN 8. The coach has been knocked out of the Culling Black League. The coach only has 2 points in the CAF Champions League. In the last recent season, we've collected a maximum points in the group, which is 16 points. That's the standard of the club, unless we do get a draw. We are very dominant when we play at home. We've beaten Abu Al-Akhi 5, we've beaten Abu Al-Akhi 5-2, we've beaten Abu Zamalek 3-0 over the years in the CAF Champions League. This club, Nkululeko, has invested so much money. It's not a project, Nkululeko. It's been a project over 10 years that has been invested on. If you look at the very same with the Orlando Pirates, that's why they're doing well now. It's because of the investment that has happened over the years, Nkululeko. So many coaches, Coach Pete, or the contribution that he did before he came, he built an incredible team, but it was an aging team. After that, what he did, Nkululeko, is that before he left, after signing a 4-year contract, he signed about 12 players for Mamelodi Sundowns. Peter Shalulila, Bomvala, and so many who were in that team. And then what happened is that he left. They brought in Coach Rulani. There was this very same model, Nkululeko, because they understood that it's important to keep senior players, because senior players have been at the club, they understand the philosophy, they've been building, they've been winning, they understand the culture. But introducing younger players who are going to take the club into the next level. And in my opinion, with the previous coach, which is Coach Rulani, the club was getting closer to winning the Champions League. We always speak about the football heritage, Nkululeko. Yeah. And the fact that the club has been dominant in Africa. Nkululeko, labantu laba besibambe kanje South African football. We won the league at 23 points. Absolute dominant. Not losing a football game in 29 games. Reaching finals in each and every domestic cup. We played over 50 games. There's no game that we don't play in Mamelodi Sundowns. If there's 30 games in the league, we play all the games in the MTN 8, we play all the games in the Culling Black Label, we play all the games in the Nedbank Cup. And for me, losing against Miguel Cardoso last season in the CAF Champions League, of course we saw the double leg, had a Brazilian number 10 there who caused us a lot of problem, Esperanza. They came here, a couple of mistakes with one long ball, but if you check the game, Coach Rulani was absolutely dominant. Mistake obviously from the left hand side.
Before you continue, sorry to cut you, let's talk about Coach Manqoba. Do you agree or disagree with the decision to let him go?
Nkululeko, I agree with the decision. For me, the coach has failed. The coach didn't meet the club's expectations. The coach was not liked by the fans because of the statements that he said in his first media press conference. The coach was not liked by the media, in my opinion. There's a reason why he got he was misquoted. The club, the board gave him an opportunity. And Nkululeko, maybe we'll move on to Fleming. The only thing I can credit to Fleming in this instant is the fact that he gave Coach Manqoba an opportunity. And he had to, Nkululeko, because he's been at the club for 12 years. From a human perspective, I understood him very well to say, who else would do a better job in his opinion? Because he probably did interview a couple of coaches and he thought to himself, we need someone who understands, who can continue. But in my opinion, I think Fleming himself, he got shocked when Coach Manqoba got appointed himself, after he got appointed, because there was a lot of changes in Nkululeko. He started speaking about hybrid football. He started speaking about Abomshishi having to work for their place. Nkululeko, football is a game of relation. It's important to respect your senior players. We've spoken about this, about Chelsea. The impact, about Villagas, the impact that they had, Orlando Pirates, them choosing seats to sit on the bus, them choosing hotels. You cannot say Umshishi must fight for his position in the Mamelodi Sundowns. I think if there's one player in the battle to a premiership and in Mamelodi Sundowns is him. For me, I'm a statements threw I'm a fans off. I think it threw Fleming himself off because it didn't even last 6 months. It threw the board off. The board, in my opinion, they did not believe in him. Because even the statement to say Coach Rulani hired friends, for me, is highly disrespectful to Fleming. You understand? Because for me, Upatela is an exceptional coach. Michael Morton is one of the most exceptional technical people that you will have, that you need as a technical person from a coaching perspective. He's an exceptional attacking organization coach. He understands how to deal with details in football, like a set piece and so forth. But for me, it's 22 games, it's 16 wins, it's 4 losses from Coach Manqoba and 2 draws. The draws, obviously, the loss comes from Ipulukwane City, unacceptable. It comes from Amakesi, unacceptable. Like obviously, the other 2 is Stellenbosch. So, in my opinion, deserves to leave his place.
Let me push you a little bit. Do you not foresee a danger of becoming a Real Madrid in the way that you are approaching things as Sundowns, such that you are using an abnormal achievement by the finest African coach we've ever seen, Rulani Mokoena, in my opinion, my favorite coach, actually, in my opinion, that I've ever seen in 29 years. I'm 34. Started watching football when I was 5 years old. I've never seen a coach like that, so dominant across the continent. I'll stand up for that opinion against anyone. But what he achieved was abnormal. Are you not? You are treading a very fine territory and a thin line in that you are using what it did. I'm not talking about style of play. I disagree with Manqoba's style of play. But in terms of deciding to fire a coach because he lost to Polokwane or he lost to that one, whereas it's still number 1 in the league, for example, he's still got a good chance in the Champions League because everyone else is not doing well in that group. That means if he collects 2 wins, he will be in a good place to get out of that group, like you were saying this weekend. Are you not scared that that's what you're going to do for Miguel? That's what you're going to do. Eventually, Rulani will come back at some point in the future. You're going to do that to him too. That Sundowns are creating this culture where you only need to lose 3 matches against Abos Mang, and then the fans expect that you get fired, which means you don't have a platform to build anything from that.
Sundowns, Nkululeko, there's no emotions there. In big businesses like that, emotions are not used. Sundowns is in the business of winning football games, Nkululeko.
Well, you can't win all of them.
You can't win all of them.
As soon as Chiefs get their shit together and Pirates get their shit together, you are going to have 2 other teams that you have to worry about. So you can't win. It's an unrealistic expectation. You and I, we are Chelsea fans.
For sure.
We've seen our team, like Abramovich, he used to fire like people willy-nilly. But as soon as Man City, like now, I just think sometimes that what would Abramovich be doing? Man City is winning every championship in England. And also Jurgen Klopp was winning everything, competing with Pep Guardiola as well. So what would have Abramovich been doing? Would have been firing every season. That's where I'm going with this. As soon as Chiefs get their shit together, which may be in the next 5 years, and Pirates become a formidable club, that means you are going to be in the cycle of changing coaches every 12 months or every 6 months. Now, I agree with the style of play. You fire him for just only on the reason of style of play, not because it's entertaining, but you must play dominant football. I agree. But the random losing of matches, it happens to anyone. Even Ancelotti is going through that now at the moment. So I'm challenging you on that perspective. I know what you're saying, that it's now the standard of Sundowns. I'm challenging you to say, do you want to agree with something like that, where just because you lose 2 random matches, and the previous coach did not lose any match in 30 matches or 29 matches, that means people must be fired?
Nkululeko, from a technical perspective, I don't agree with it. But from a fan perspective, you're going to have to accept it. That's the model that the club decided to use. A technical director model, an Al-Ahly model, a Real Madrid model, where you don't deliver the big trophies, you lose your job. In my opinion, Nkululeko, this model says to you, there's no coach who has time to build. There's no coach.
That's what I'm saying.
That's exactly that Sundowns says to the fans, and it's sending a direct message to say, style of play at this moment doesn't matter. Because on the ground, people say, even though Sundowns has played well and dominated South African football, Nkululeko, they are saying he has not won the Champions League. Even Pito in the Champions League Coach Pito, he was a little bit pragmatic. So now maybe that's why they are going with the Cardoso. Remember Miguel Cardoso. Remember he reached the CAF Champions League final with the very same pragmatic style. Maybe the approach will be completely different. But what I'm saying and what I'm seeing from the management side is they are sacrificing what is called the soul of Mamelodi Sundowns, the Shushan and Piano. They are actually sacrificing that and going with a model of winning football games. For me, Nkululeko, the board and the management sat down and said, if the coach cannot win against Amakesi, this team does never have a chance to compete in the Champions League. This team doesn't have an opportunity to win the CAF Champions League.
You agree with that?
I agree with that, Nkululeko. And for me, from a Sundowns fan, I want to support a club, Nkululeko, that wins football games. I want to support a club that wins big trophies.
So if you agree with that,
Yeah.
you're genuinely going to have to accept that whatever, you have no right to complain about hybrid football if it wins matches.
Yeah.
You realize the contradiction there that, so if Miguel Cardoso comes in and
Yeah.
plays nonsense North African football, which should not happen in our country, but I can see that the fans, they just want to win.
Yeah.
They just want wins from all clubs. Now, it means that you should not expect him to play decent football because you have agreed
Yeah.
that as long as he wins, you are happy with that.
Nkululeko, we even accepted Coach Manqoba. It's the very same thing. When I started, I said the media and the fans did not accept when he said hybrid football. But the least you can do, even Pep Guardiola, the best manager, says it. I am in my job because I win football matches. And in my opinion, he could have kept his job if he won important football games. Won the MTN 8, won the Culling Black
So
Label.
the issue was not his hybrid football.
The issue was not his hybrid football. It's the standard that the club has set, Nkululeko, which are winning football games, being dominant in
So
Yeah.
with what Rulani did last year,
Yeah.
it's just a coincidence that the football was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was more because he was winning.
Yeah, and the fact that he won the AFL, that was important for the club and for the history of the
So
club.
then there is no substance in this idea that you want to play. I'm not talking about its beautifulness, but
Yeah.
dominant football that's put the fear on the heart of Al Ahly,
Yeah.
Wydad, all of the dominant football. So it doesn't matter to you, to you and the fans.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that it's dominant.
Yeah.
All it has to be is winning. Even if you have 2% position in the match, as long as you win, you are happy.
Nkululeko, the fact that they fired Coach Rulani when he dominated each and every team 75 ball position,
Yeah.
and they fired him, that already sent a message to Mamelodi Sundowns fans on the ground that we do not care about beautiful football. We
Where
care
I'm
about
going-
winning.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Where I'm going is, do you agree with that?
From a technical perspective, I don't agree,
Because
Nkululeko.
we are coaches.
Because I'm an analyst.
We
That's
are-
why
we
I'm
are
saying.
coaches.
That's
Me
why I'm
and
very
you, we are
specific.
coach, so is
Yeah.
a coach here. We
Yeah.
are all qualified coaches. That
Yeah.
We know that that's not. You're going to lose random
Yeah.
matches.
Well-
Random matches you're going to lose. Now, if the standard, that's why I'm saying Real
Yeah.
Madrid, and you mentioned Al Ahly
Yeah.
as well. Those teams are wishy-washy teams.
Yeah.
They are teams that can be followed by anyone. They don't have substance.
Yeah.
They might have the history of winning things, but in my eyes, they don't have substance. They are wishy-washy teams. If they did not have their money, they wouldn't achieve anything because they fire a coach. If he loses, they fire a coach. So it's a dangerous direction that you are going as Sundowns.
Nkululeko, that's why I said from a technical perspective, I don't agree. From a fan perspective, I do. But I also agree with a little bit with the fact that the management does agree with that they made a mistake, Nkululeko. They made a mistake. And for me, by firing Coach Rulani, this is them saying, yes, we do acknowledge the fact that we made a huge blunder. Because, Nkululeko, it took this team 12 years to build. It's not a now thing. And you cannot break. This team just needed a little of an adjustment.
Yeah.
It just needed a little bit of a touch for us to get us over the line. And in my opinion, the previous technical team absolutely broke what has been worked under Coach Pito, under Coach Rulani.
Yeah.
The work, the amount of work, even Fleming back. I think he needs to come and approach the media and talk to the media and
Well,
account.
he was
He
speaking
needs
today.
to account.
Well,
Nkululeko.
let me take you.
Yeah.
Let's move on to him then.
Yeah.
You said that whatever happens with Manqoba,
Yeah.
Flemingberg must follow him. You said it before this moment.
Yeah.
So we are now in this moment and we can see Flemingberg is still there. Do you still stand by that opinion that Flemingberg must go with Manqoba if they fire Manqoba?
Nkululeko, that's the reason why the chairman was with him today. I think there was protection from them. I think they thought to themselves with the management, this is his last chance, Nkululeko, in my opinion. This is his last chance. And from a human perspective, I allow him to make this mistake, more especially after this appointment. Because you know why, Nkululeko? It's important for him to account. And the statement, when I read the statement of the club, that's accountability to say, we made a mistake. And can you please give us an opportunity? Will we accept that? In my opinion, Nkululeko, I think this is his last straw. And I don't even think Miguel Cardoso will last at the job. I don't think he will win the CAF Champions League, in my opinion, which will also get him fired. That means we need another coach.
That's why I'm saying it's
Yeah.
a dangerous territory that you guys are going because not everyone just wins the Champions League. As long as all, we've been here. Only
Yeah.
2 South African clubs have won the Champions League in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
1995, 2016, 21 years apart, both of them. That means it is very difficult to actually win the Champions League.
Yeah.
So then that means if you fire coaches because they don't win the Champions League, you are becoming a Real Madrid, a wishy-washy team. I know
Yeah.
people love Real Madrid. I've always hated them for their wishy-washy nature in which they approach things. Bunch of money, put it on the table, buy Zidane, buy everyone. If you don't win, fire them,
Yep.
try again. So that's not
you know-
football heritage for me.
Nkululeko, do you know what the club missed the point, more especially with bringing in Fleming? Is that they missed the fact that Mamelodi Sundowns is a club that lacks soul. They are not like the Chiefs, the Pirates. Those are clubs that have soul. And with Coach Rulani, the club was building soul in Nkululeko. It brought a lot of people closer to Mamelodi Sundowns because even people that did not support the club actually loved how the club played. So having the coach there, having South African coaches, that brought us closer to supporting Mamelodi Sundowns. It encouraged younger coaches that actually supported other clubs but turned into being Mamelodi Sundowns fans. It encouraged younger football supporters because now it's modern football and everything is about positional technology and science. Younger people became interested in Mamelodi Sundowns because when they were listening to Coach Rulani, he was speaking science, he was speaking technology, he was speaking about where the game is going in the next 10 years, he was speaking AI, Chat GPT. Every press conference of Coach Rulani was like a university. And younger people brought themselves closer to that. And it for me, it made Mamelodi Sundowns a huge club, more especially from a marketing perspective as well. I understand. So for me, the club and the management, you should say, and for me, the statement, when they said ambition, when they said high standards, for me, that's it. They are taking accountability.
Yeah, but that's wishy-washy. I have to say this. And of course, we're not dying tomorrow, so we'll be here for the whole season and next year and next year. And I think it's wishy-washy. You're going to start firing people. I don't agree with actually Coach Manqoba Mngqithi. It might sound as if I'm taking his side. I'm not taking his side. I'm saying the expectation is what? To win the Champions League or get fired? Or to not lose against Polokwane City and Magese and then you get fired? I think that board, including Flemingberg, need to start prioritizing things. If you want to take a direction for 2 or 3 years, just like you did with Pito. They did it formidably with Pito and Rulani. Like it was a 10-year stretch or a 12-year stretch with black African coaches. And they were trying to do something, and they did it. They became the most important football club in Africa. In my opinion, in 2023, they were the best football club in Africa in the year 2023, in my opinion. Let me wrap it up then with you, Lindo. Where does this put Sundowns in relation to the league, in relation to the Champions League as well?
The league is for Orlando Pirates to lose, in my opinion, now. The first question is the coach comes in with 3 assistant coaches, which is Fabio Fernandez, I think João
I was reading those names now. You're going to learn them. You're going to learn them.
Pedro
I knew you wanted to learn them.
You know me. I'm always want to give my best when I'm working. I always want to give my best. But anyway,
the point is that it's new assistant, new coach.
New coach. My question is,
it gives an advantage to
Orlando Pirates. Because for me, my question is, even though they say they started talking to him before my case, my question is, have they understood the storyline? Because it's important. We always talk about this. Do they understand the storyline of where Mamelodi Sundowns is? Do they understand the culture of a South African football player in terms of being a ball player, in terms of being a short? Because I've seen him, I've watched him a couple of times. I don't know what he can produce. He can surprise me. He's a Portuguese coach. One of the reasons why he's brought in, remember, there's a lot of Brazilian players, a lot of South American players. Yeah. They speak a lot of Portuguese in there, right, Nkululeko?
Oh, yeah.
So that might help.
Lucas Ribeiro,
the influence of Celes as well.
They speak the same language.
They speak the same language. It's very important, Nkululeko. So for me, it's for Pirates to lose. But for me, the biggest question is, do they even understand the storyline of what's happening currently in South African football? Maybe that's the biggest question that they need to answer. For me, the second thing is the first 3 games needs to tell us what kind of a coach this guy is. He needs to tell us if he's a pragmatic coach and we need to accept it and he wins football games, or he's a position-based coach. But for me, in my opinion, and this might sound controversial, Miguel Cardoso, I don't see him finishing the season, I don't see him finishing the season. And for me...
the season ends in 5 months' time.
I think that it's also another mistake that we're making, in my opinion. I think for me it's a rational decision. I think it's a decision of panic. I think they realize, Nkululeko, that actually why they brought him in is they checked the draw. World Cup, Nkululeko. There's Fluminense there. There's the team from Korea. There's Borussia Dortmund. There's a high chance that the management and the board believes that they can get out of the group. I believe as a fan with the players that we have. Right, Nkululeko, and with the technical team that we have.
If he can't win the Champions League, he won't get out of that group. If you have the opinion that he won't win the Champions League, I don't know if he can be able to beat a Borussia Dortmund, Ilsan Hyundai, and there's also Fluminense as well. You are the weakest team in that league, in that group. Not necessarily that you're not a weak team as Sundowns. You are a giant in Africa, but I would say I've seen Ilsan Hyundai playing in the Asian Champions League as well. I think they've been at the Club World Cup as well with Abo Kashima Antlers. Those Japanese, South Korean teams are very good. So I don't know, man. But if you don't think that he's going to win the Champions League, I don't know how we can get out of a group. But that's besides the point, because you're already saying that he won't last. Let me wrap it up then. Are you happy with the events that has happened today? Like today, your football club has fired their coach and they've hired a coach. Are you happy? You have mixed feelings. What are you feeling at the moment with your football club's decision making?
Obviously, I need the club to account, Nkululeko, because, like I said, I'm going to keep saying that because this club we've built an incredible machine for 12 years. And in my opinion, I'm feeling sad for the football club. I'm feeling sad for the players. I'm feeling sad for the fans on the ground because this club has been so dominant. In my opinion, I think it's going to take us another year or two to get back to dominance. I think that already we are rebuilding a team that did not need to be rebuilt, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
We are already in a rebuilding phase, in my opinion, because, and I don't know why we put ourselves in that position as a football club, but I will support every coach that comes to Mamelodi Sundowns as a fan. From a technical perspective, I'm obviously not happy that Coach Manqoba loses his job, but this also gives him an opportunity to go to another club, Golden Arrows, and fix his career. I think he will do well. Not every coach can coach a big club, Nkululeko. Not every coach can coach big players. Big players and talented players want to also be mentored by a talented coach, by other talented people. I think he wanted to be a boss more than managing those players. And also, he needs to understand that it's important for him to read the game. But yeah, congratulations to Miguel Cardoso for his appointment. If we will support him, we want him to do well, Nkululeko, but with how the standard of football is in South Africa and where Africa is, we'll get out of the group. But is winning the Champions League a possibility this year? No. And with the league, there's so many other weak teams in the PSL. I think he will do well, Nkululeko. But as to winning the league, I think it's up to Pirates now.
All right, there you are. Thank you very much, Lindo. Quick reaction to a breaking news story at Mamelodi Sundowns. We hope you enjoy the chat. It's designed and meant to be a debate or an engagement or a back and forth, a dialogue between two men who think about the game. So if you're not used to that, that's your problem, really. We are engaging, we're probing each other, and we suppose check each other's common sense and logic and try to follow each other's logic. And that's the whole point of these engagements. No one has the right answers. I always say that if I knew the answers to what happens tomorrow, I would gamble and bet and make a lot of money and never have to shoot a video in my life again. It's iDiskiTV, iDiski Times, World Sports Betting.